Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, September 9th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Let's see what we have today. Quite a bit going on, as usual, it seems. They're cranking up martial law. Both sides support it, Republicans and Democrats, but it's law and order for public safety. And so how dare you question it? Don't be a pro-crime commie when the National Guard marches down your streets. More of these extrajudicial attacks. The Department of Homeland Security put out a video as part of Operation Pacific Viper. Cutterstone conducted 3 interdictions in a single night. That's a U.S. Coast Guard. And they say they seized 13,000 pounds of cocaine and apprehended 7 drug suspected smugglers. They put out a video of them shooting up a boat. Apparently they didn't just execute them like the last guys. Allegedly, I don't know. It's looking very shady. Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor says they'll ICE will seize you off the street for looking like a Latino. Maybe they should. Just kidding. Just kidding. We need some humor in all this insanity. We got economic news. Of course, the government's lying about the economic data. As we continue, I think I've been telling you that ever since I started doing a show for 15 years. I've been saying the government economic data is a lie. You think it changed under Trump? You think it's a golden age of magic economic data coming from the lying government? Anyway, we got that to go over today. Trump is trying to play nice with India now as he realizes what his threats of tariffs against them have done. Pushed them right into the arms of Russia and China. Good job. It really looks like it's all by design. Again. Conspiracy for one world government. Got a big report from Bobby Kennedy Jr. Make our children healthy again. We'll go over that. We will go over that report and a couple clips from Bobby Kennedy Jr. What else do we got? Well, things are getting crazy over there in Nepal. They're burning down their government buildings in Nepal. And so we have some videos of that. And what is it all about? Was it about social media bans or something else? Is there foreign influence in Nepal causing unrest? I don't know. But we'll show you the damage that's been caused so far. Some videos on the interwebs are alleging that they're attacking public officials and publicly shaming them, beating them, burning their houses down. It's getting crazy in Nepal. And then, of course, Aardvark land. They attacked Qatar today. Who haven't they attacked? I guess they haven't attacked. They haven't attacked Jordan or Egypt, but everybody else in their region there. And I get they haven't attacked Turkey yet. That's probably coming. So all that to cover. And then what are they going to do in Gaza City? They're warning evacuate. They're going to whack everybody there, man. It's insane. So all of the Aardvark treachery to cover today and much more on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you for joining us. My little ticker broke. I can't see. I don't have the direct feed of how many viewers are on the X. Probably not many because we're shadow banned, but thank you to everybody for tuning in. Let's go to this day in history. On this day of September 9th, going back to the year 1675, New England colonies declare war on Pano Ag Indians. And then fast forward in history a little bit to 1739 on this day, Stano Slave Rebellion, South Carolina. 60 enslaved people kill about 20 white people before being killed or later executed. Largest slave uprising in British mainland colonies before the American Revolution on this day. In 1976, Congress officially renames the country as the United States of America from the United Colonies. In 1850, California stayed on broadcasting to you from the Golden State of California. In 1850s, admitted into the Union as the 31st state. Also, in 1850, territories of New Mexico and Utah are created on this day. Moving forward to 1914 on this day, we saw the first fully mechanized unit in the British Army, the Canadian Automobile Machine Gun Brigade for World War I. In 1942 on this day, we saw the first bombing on continental U.S. soil at Mount Emily, Oregon during World War II by Japanese planes. In 1945 on this day, we saw the first computer bug, a literal bug. First, quote, bug in a computer program is discovered by a team of engineers, including Grace Hopper in Cambridge, Massachusetts, while a real-life moth is removed with tweezers from the relay and taped into a logbook, a literal real-life bug in the computer. In 1950, we saw mass arrest of communists in France on this day. France did name a new prime minister. We'll get to that news. On this day in 1957, then U.S. President Eisenhower signs the first civil rights bill since Reconstruction after the Civil War. In 1966, on this day, LBJ signs the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act into law, establishing the first federal safety standards for vehicles and roads. And I still have potholes all over my roads. In 1971, on this day, 1,000 convicts riot and seize Attica Correctional Facility in New York. Well, more on that in our civil liberties. A little bit more detail. In 1987, on this day, Gary Hart, then I believe Democrat presidential candidate, admits on Nightline to cheating on his wife. I thought that was a virtue, but apparently not in 1987. It's a virtue for Bill Clinton, of course, and Trump. In 2020, we saw the global death toll from the bat disease surpass 900,000, allegedly, with the United States having the most deaths at 190,589. And any criticism of that would be subsequently result in your banning off of the internet. So don't question failed U.S. public health policy or global failed public health policy, as we learned here at Weaponized News the hard way. And in 2021, we saw federal miracle mandates from then President Joe Biden. He announced widespread bat miracle mandates for federal workers, contractors, and large employers, affecting 100 million people. Pretty big deal, violating constitutional rights, civil rights, natural rights. And so there you have it. Federal miracle mandates from Joe Biden. There's no law. They just literally, I can't even say anymore because I'll start getting angry about it, just thinking about it. But don't forget what these characters have done as they try to, dodge and obfuscate what has already been done. Okay, back censorship in America. In 1956, on this day, on Elvis Presley's first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, then one of the most popular shows on television, he was shown only from his waist up. His gyrations were considered too sexual for a family television audience, even from the waist up. The New York Times found his performance filthy. The gyrations did appear in Elvis's second appearance. The restriction on Elvis's appearance was part of a pervasive censorship of anything remotely sexual on television in the 1950s and on into the 1960s. Things dramatically changed regarding sex on television in the 1970s. The book Parental Advisory below, they're talking about this book explaining the censorship. It doesn't always backfire, creating the Streisand effect, as I don't think we should have, filthy stuff on television for family viewing audiences for the children. It always seems to backfire. Then that makes people, the Streisand effect, want to go see what was so bad that had to be censored, and just creates this feedback loop of actually defeating the purpose of the censorship original intention. And then on to Attica. 1971, on this day, Attica prison rebellion begins. Prisoners in New York State Attica Correctional Facility began a rebellion on this day with about 1,000 prisoners seizing 42 prison employees as hostages. The prisoners' grievances include many items of basic human decency, an end to serious overcrowding. The prison was built to hold 1,200 inmates, but at that time had 2,225 inmates, so almost double the original capacity. Being allowed only one shower per week, one roll of toilet paper per person per month. After 4 days of negotiation, New York officials had agreed to 28 of the inmates' 42 demands, but refused to grant amnesty to the rebelling prisoners. Finally, on orders from Governor Nelson Rockefeller, the rebellion was violently ended by armed state police officers. 29 prisoners and 10 guards were killed in the raid. Well, thankfully, Nelson Rockefeller was the governor and gave the execution order there. We would have had real problems, right? And with that, let's go ahead and do our segue. Mr. Law and Order, as the MAGA shill hack government propagandists on the interwebs, cheer on martial law, FEMA camps, and whatever emergency the government makes up. So we do appreciate the hack shill government propagandists on the interwebs. They'll sell their soul for a nickel and turn their mother into ice if Trump says so. It's quite despicable behavior, but I guess that's where we're at in 2025. A culture of fake, fraud, hack influencers, algorithmically promoted to run psyops and brainwashing campaigns against the American people and the rest of the world. Isn't it wonderful? Technocracy that we find ourselves in here now. Here's Trump telling us all about law and order and how the government's going to keep us safe.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman. a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities needs help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again. And that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Denver's got some comments on the, he says, Trump passed the policy that released that guy. Well, come on, Denver. We can't have that. Trump's not perfect. That's why we need martial law. So he could pass policies to release guys to do the crime, the whole problem, reaction, solution. Never let a good crisis go to waste. While this is a very tragic event, they are seizing on it to bring in more control on all of us based on policies that have failed by Trump. But hey, law and order. What do you guys want out of life? And Denver all said, yeah, they care a lot about the Ukrainians. Yeah, fueling the war machine to the meat grind to feed young Ukrainian men into, well, all Ukrainian men, I guess at this point, into the meat grinder there. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, dead. Yeah, it's quite horrific. But what is it? One dead is a tragedy, and a million is a statistic, right? To paraphrase Stalin, something like that. And the government is definitely going with that narrative on this case. So as you cheer on law and order, just remember the government can't and won't keep you safe. It's something to see there now as they run this psyop on us. And this is the current thing, outrage. Again, horrific. The woman was murdered, but is it a national thing? It's a distraction from all this other stuff going on. That's for sure. But here they say, on Zero Hedge, they say, Charlotte pocketed $3.3 million from left-wing NGO to empty jails for radical equity. Yeah, I don't know. It's horrific. It is indeed horrific. Okay. Well, have no fear. They're cleaning up the streets in D.C. The Justice Department says over 2,100 arrests since the start of Trump's D.C. federal crackdown. So, reports of stop and frisk, no warrants, no probable cause. Who cares? Who cares? It's a police state and you're safe. You know what I mean? So, what does it say? They just lie, ignore the courts, and they don't control yet and push technocracy forward. That's what Denver said on the Rumble chat. Yeah, well, it's kind of their thing. Supreme Court temporarily allows Trump to pause billions in foreign aid. Chief Justice Roberts today allowed the Trump administration to freeze billions in foreign aid payments for now, putting a hold putting on hold a lower court ruling that required officials to spend $4 billion of that money by the end of the month. Roberts, who handles emergency appeals from federal courts in Washington, D.C., issued what's known as an administrative stay, a temporary order intended to give the justices more time to review the case. And so you see, it's not, our government doesn't work. We're in a failed state pretty much at this point. Congress allegedly allocates funding, and now the Supreme Court is ruling, and Trump administration are in there somehow. You know what I mean? So, yeah. John Arrigo is officially sworn in as U.S. ambassador to Portugal. Let's take a look at this guy. Maybe Portugal will rise up again someday. They were also quite an empire back in the day.
Which I'm about to enter. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations.
So there he is. Not much goes on with Portugal nowadays, but hey, who knows? The world's getting crazier and crazier by the day. We may hear some from Portugal. So the long held on to narrative by the Q, was it Q? No, I believe the first time I heard it was some Epstein documentary. They said, yeah, you don't got to worry about Trump and Epstein. Trump was a secret FBI informant this whole time. And he was setting up Epstein, actually ratting him out to the feds. And that's how they got that case down in Florida against him. Well, it turns out the White House is denying that and saying Trump was not an FBI informant. Here's a White House spokeswoman saying as much.
Mike Johnson came out and said that the president was an FBI informant. Do you know what he meant by that, if it's not true?
I can affirm that is not true. I think the speaker was referring to the fact that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago property for reasons the president has already discussed.
So they just continue to muddy the waters here. But that was a big defense that they were using for Trump that they just squashed for some reason. As the whole Epstein saga continues, and they continue to botch it horribly, looking guilty at the White House, Trump. What does Denver say? He says, crime in D.C. since National Guard deployment, crime rates have seen a significant decline. Carjackings have decreased by, violent crime is down. So yes, crime still happens despite Trump's rosy words of BS. What? He's keeping us safe, Denver. He's keeping us safe. What about this? Department of Homeland Security released this video today. Operation Pacific Viper. So I guess we're back being the world's police. I guess we never stopped. The drug war is now escalating here now. And it's just allegations from the crime syndicate that is the federal government. We don't know if anything they say is true, a lie. Maybe it's true. But again, idiot Americans cheered on. There's something called due process. Wait till they point the finger at you and say you're guilty of X, Y, Z, and you get no due process and droned. And they say, well, he was the bad guy. The government said so. Well, prove it. How about something about prove it in front of a jury or your peers? All that's gone here now because the government is keeping us safe from this horrible cocaine traffickers. Over the weekend, as part of Operation Pacific Viper, the U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Stone conducted 3 interdictions in a single night, seizing nearly 13,000 pounds of cocaine and apprehending 7 suspected drug smugglers. Here's some video of them shooting up their boat. I guess we could be thankful at least they didn't execute them in the boat. Is there a guy on this boat? It's hard to tell. So allegedly, that's video of the Coast Guard shooting up a drug smuggling boat. We have no idea. We just have to take the lying criminal government's word for it. Oh, by the way, we were lied to about 9/11. That's coming up in a couple of days by this same said federal government. Keep that in mind. Sotomayor says the Supreme Court ruling lets ICE seize anyone who looks Latino. Really? Maybe. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor blasted the Supreme Court's decision to allow wide-scale ICE raids and immigration stops in Los Angeles to continue on Monday. In a scathing dissent, she said the court was giving the Department of Homeland Security a green light to seize anyone who looks Latino. Wow. The Monday ruling lifted an injunction on roving ICE actions in Southern California. The order from the lower court judge barred agents from carrying out detentions based on ethnicity, languages being spoken, employment, or location. While the Supreme Court's ruling was unsigned, it appeared to be supported along partisan lines as all three liberals dissented. Writing for the liberal justices, Sotomayor called the order unconscionable and said it made Latinos throughout the region fair game. Wow. Be careful if you're a Latino American citizen out there, you may be seized by ICE, according to Sotomayor. More from technocracy from our First Lady here now, cheering it on. Artificial intelligence will empower America's next generation. Here's a highly produced propaganda video from our First Lady, Melania Trump. Let's watch this.
This room is filled with the brightest minds of our time. As leaders and parents, we must manage AI's growth responsibly. We must ensure America's talent, our workforce, is prepared to sustain AI's progress, and the Presidential AI Challenge is our first major step to galvanize America's parents, educators, and students with this mission.
It is an honor to have the support and advice of the First Lady as we seek to implement the President's plans to give America's children the chance to learn how to navigate our ever-changing technological world.
During this primitive stage, it is our duty to treat our AI as we would our own children, empowering but with watchful guidance. And I won't be surprised if AI becomes known as the greatest engine of progress in the history of the United States of America.
There's some kind of pro-crime commie in the chats. This guy Denver, he says he wants something about due process. Is it okay for the cops to pull you over and just shoot you before you're told what you're suspected of? Seems so for that boat. Well, don't be a pro-crime commie. That's MAGA's response for it until they're targeted, and then it's too late. Imagine if a Democrat president was doing this same type of activity. They'd be screaming from the rooftops, right? But their guy does it, it's perfectly fine. And that is the danger that we are in here now with this extreme partisan divide, Republican, Democrat. It's just idiocracy, basically, where they can't even see past the orange on their face to realize that all of this is going to come back and bite you. And that's why we have Bill of Rights, allegedly, that honors everyone. But I guess that is the battle here now. And the government thinks that your rights come from the government. Tim Kaine told us yesterday, and you know that's the sentiment of all these maniacs. They don't talk about natural rights that are inherent to you, given to you by your creator, as stated in the Declaration of Independence, what this country was founded on. these power-hungry megalomaniacs in the government believe that your rights come from them. So that's where we're at here in America. Don't be a pro-crime commie until they turn the friggin' all-seeing eye on you, and then it's too late. But you cheered on all of their violations against all these other people because you're a good patriot wrapped in the flag. On to economic news here now. Gold broke another record high today. I saw one report, it went over $3,700. It went down a little bit, but man, oh man, gold is going up. That's for sure. The G20 is coming to Miami. Another highly produced video of propaganda coming out of the White House.
I'm thrilled to announce that the 2026 G20 conference will be held in one of our country's greatest cities, beautiful Miami, Florida, where we have the mayor with us.
It puts the city on the map as one of the truly great global cities.
It will be a concentrated group in Miami, seeing the best America has to offer with American leadership, thanks to President Trump.
I think this G20 meeting, where the world leaders will come to the great city of Miami, is going to be viewed as one of the most important meetings in global history.
We're also looking forward to having this as a showcase of American strength, vision, innovation, and power under your bold leadership, Mr. President. It is going to be the G20 in the Trumpian golden age.
Really? As we continue to report, China, Russia, India, they're all real tight now. It's looking bad here for the G20. Was Denver say she was real good at recruiting people to be, yeah, it was part of the whole Epstein ring there, Melania Trump, very suspect. Now that we look back upon it. There's new economic data that just came out a few moments ago, and it shows the U.S. job market was much weaker than thought. Really?
There's new economic data that just came out a few moments ago, and it shows the U.S. job market was much weaker than thought back in 2024. Edward Lawrence is live from the White House, and so this number was eye-popping. So what does it mean about the situation that we're in now?
Yeah, it really was. And this is a preliminary benchmark revision, and it was down 911,000 jobs.
911,000 jobs. Oh, they lied to you about the unemployment rate. Who's been telling you the entire time? Here at Weaponized News, we've been telling you all this government data is flat out lies. Go to shadowstats.com. They'll give you the real calculations. I think you got to pay for it now, but you go do it. You could go look up 80s unemployment rate calculation before they changed it. And you could see all the ways they manipulate it, or just like this, they just tell you, literally pull numbers out of the rear end, and no one gets in trouble again. How many kabillions of dollars moved around and malinvestment and so on are made due to these numbers? You know what I mean? It's just fraud upon $1 billion of fraud. Who cares? You know what I mean? Who cares? America, what's Trump? The whole Denver says Tim Kaine arguing against natural rights. That was a video clip from yesterday. Tim Kaine was arguing against natural rights. He equated Americans that believe in natural rights with the religious fanaticism ordered by God. Needless to say, he thinks government gives you those. Yeah, it was a. That was quite a, and I do believe that the majority of these senators and Congress believe the same thing. They're just complete maniacs, all criminals. They never get in trouble. Here's Varney on the old Fox Business, finally figuring this stuff out. We've been telling you for 15 years, but I guess better late than never.
There's something wrong with the way we collect the statistics, isn't there? We're just not doing it right. We're not getting an accurate picture.
Because they ripped the numbers. Oh man. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon to trust him, right? Says the economy is weakening. And so you can't trust Jamie Dimon. I don't know who you can trust. The Department of Labor revised lower its non-farm payroll data for the year through March 2025 by 911,000. Is this like some backhanded esoteric numerology with 9/11 coming up? I don't know. It feels like they're just effing with us, you know? Oh, we just almost 1 million jobs we just overcounted. You know what I mean? It's perfectly fine. Here's Trump now trying to save face. It's too late. It's too late. He says, I'm pleased to announce that India and the United States of America are continuing negotiating to address the trade barriers between our two nations. I look forward to speaking with my very good friend, Prime Minister Modi, in the coming weeks. I feel certain that there will be no difficulty in coming to a successful conclusion for both our great countries. I think the ship already sailed. The ship already sailed there. And of course, Trump, threatening 50% tariffs, something like this last time. I checked on India for buying Russian oil because allegedly it's fueling the Russian war machine. And India said, oh, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do our own thing over here, America. BRICS, SCO meeting. An emergency BRICS meeting yesterday. And so they're continuing to try to develop an alternative to the Western banking system there in BRICS. And it seems to be becoming more and more urgent every day. Okay, on to public health now. What do we got out of old Bobby Kennedy Jr.? He's put out this report, but here he says the president just signed an executive order that's an historic change in the way that pharmaceutical advertising is done on television. Let's watch this.
It's an historic change in the way that pharmaceutical advertising is done on television. And the order basically reinstates or gives us now the opportunity to reinstate the 1997 rules. Prior to 1997, pharmaceutical advertisers were required to put all the side effects on their ads. Many of them didn't advertise because it lengthened because of what it did to the length of the advertising. And the removal of that requirement in 1997, FDA changed the rule to allow them to report the side effects on a website or on a telephone. And they only had to report a few of them on television. And that triggered a proliferation of these ads. There's only 2 countries in the world that allowed direct-to-consumer advertising by pharmaceutical companies on television. We're one of those countries. New Zealand is the other. It's had a disastrous impact on human health, on people's relationships with their doctors, and really on the entire gestalt where Americans are led to believe that there's a pill for every ill.
What's your mainstream Mockingbird corporate media going to do? The large majority of their advertising funds comes from said big pharma. That's quite horrific news for them. Bobby Kennedy Jr. lists some of the unprecedented MAHA wins under President Trump. Let's watch this. Removing harmful petroleum-based food dyes, removing soda and candy from SNAP in numerous states, requiring nutrition and metabolic health courses in medical school, and so much more. What is Young said on there? That all the numbers, CPI, unemployment, inflation, go down the list. They're all not honest, to say the least.
about some of our wins that were accomplished, which are specific items in this report, things that we're going to get done before the end of the year. We have accomplished more already than any health secretary in history. And the accomplishments we're going to have by the end of the year are going to be historic and unprecedented, including removing harmful chemicals from our food, including the 9 petroleum-based food dyes. We'll either have removed them or have committed deadlines to remove them. Defining for the first time ultra-processed food, the front of package labeling for ultra-processed foods, requiring nutrition and metabolic health courses in medical schools, something that is not happening except in a very limited way today. Closing the grass loophole, improving food for our military, our schools, and our hospitals, updating water quality standards, including PFAS, removing Medicaid quality metrics to measure real health improvements through fitness and nutrition, working across the government to provide more assistance to farmers to support soil health, unleash innovation, and remove the barriers that hamper small farms, reforming SNAP by working with states to remove soda and candy from the program. And I want to thank Brooke for her very, very aggressive work and encouraging states to, which we've gone all across the country talking to governors and legislatures, to encourage states to file SNAP waiver petitions, establishing, again, front-of-pack food labeling for sugars, for sodium, for ultra-processed foods, reforming infant formula standards and acknowledging it and addressing vaccine injuries. These are bipartisan reforms. Many of them would be unthinkable 2 years ago. We are focusing narrowly on nutrition and metabolic health, food quality, cumulative exposures, gut microbiome, precision agriculture, and mental health. And we're doing all these things with each other cooperatively, and we're doing them very, very quickly.
We got some good comments over here on the Pamela Drew says the pesticide section of the report, which directs EPA to partner with industry on PR campaigns to convince Americans the system is robust, reads like it was written by Bayer and Monsanto. I'm sure it probably was. Silver says, seeing reports that that Russia's in Poland. I don't know. I didn't see that. Silver says, I'm hearing Russian forces on Polish soil. I don't know. That would be a massive escalation for sure. I think that NATO would go all in at that point, wouldn't they? Maybe the world's going crazy right now. Denver says, I'm embarrassed for all the people still fooled by this man. But hey, he's talking about the miracle injuries. Let's watch this. More from Bobby Kennedy Jr. And then we'll get to that big report they released today. Make our children healthy again. Let's hear him about miracle injuries when asked at the press conference today.
The CDC's own study of their only surveillance system, their study of it in 2010 found that it collected fewer than 1% of vaccine injuries. It's over 99% of vaccine injuries go unreported. And CDC actually developed a machine counting system in 2010 that was collecting 90 or 95% of vaccine injuries, but they shelved it. And they kept this old system that everybody has recognized has been broken for 50 years. It's never worked. And because vaccines are the only medication or medical product that is exempt from pre-licensing safety testing, it's very important to have a post-licensing surveillance system where you're going to see the vaccine injuries. Under the current system, most of those vaccine injuries will remain invisible, and we will not be able to understand the risk profile of those products and do something about it. None of the people who reported injuries are ever followed up with. We're going to start following up and find out what kind of genetic vulnerabilities, what kind of other vulnerabilities they have. We are recasting the entire program so that vaccine injuries will be reported. They will be studied, and that individuals who suffer them will not be denied or marginalized or vilified or gaslighted. They will be welcomed, and we will learn everything that we can about them so that we can improve the safety of these products.
We'll see. Make our children healthy again. A big report today released by all of these agencies. Again, no one gets in trouble for all of their failings. Here is the report. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look here. Make our children healthy again. Recommendations of MAHA Commission to President Donald J. Trump. And they go on. This was fulfilling an executive order. Order 14212, titled Establishing the President's Make America Healthy Again Commission. And they directed this report through that executive order. And here are the findings. The assessment identified 4 potential drivers behind the rise in childhood chronic disease that present the clearest opportunities for progress: poor diet, chemical exposure. Children are exposed to an increased number of synthetic chemicals, some of which have been linked to developmental issues and chronic disease. The current regulatory framework should be continually evaluated to ensure that chemicals and other exposures do not interact together to pose a threat to the health of our children. The diet, I mean, that should be self-evident, right? The American diet has shifted dramatically towards highly processed foods, leading to nutrient depletion, increased caloric intake, and exposure to potentially harmful or unhealthy additives. Over 60% of children's calories now come from highly processed foods, contributing to obesity, diabetes, and other chronic conditions, a lack of physical activity, and chronic stress. American children are experiencing unprecedented levels of inactivity, screen use, sleep deprivation, and chronic stress. These factors significantly contribute to the rise in chronic disease and mental health challenges. Over medication, there is a concerning trend of overprescribing medications to children, often driven by conflicts of interest in medical research, regulation, and practice. This has led to unnecessary treatments and long-term health risks. In childhood disease, and I guess these are the 4 pillars: advance research, realign incentives, foster private sector collaboration, increase public awareness. This document outlines a strategic approach for executive actions to address the childhood chronic disease crisis through advancing research, realigning incentives, increasing public awareness, and fostering private sector collaborations. Together, this strategy will translate the work of the Make America Healthy Again movement to policies that make a transformative and lasting impact for Americans and end the childhood chronic disease crisis. Advancing critical research to drive innovation. I don't think I can read this whole thing to you. Let's see. Pursue rigorous gold standard scientific research to help ensure informed decisions that promote healthy outcomes for Americans' children and families, as well as drive innovative solutions. NIH, MAHA, Chronic Disease Initiative, Real World Data Platform, New Approach Methodologies, Cumulative Exposure, Autism, Miracle Injury. HHS is in collaboration with NIH will investigate miracle injuries with improved data collection and analysis. Bobby Kennedy Jr. said the often quoted only 90% or only 1% of miracle injuries are reported. Water quality, this is a big one too, though, actually. Just the basics of clean drinking water with all these different chemicals, fluoride, chlorine, forever chemicals, microplastics, on and on it goes, radiation, other toxic chemicals. It just is, the public drinking water supply in this country is a disgrace. Air quality, chemtrails, anyone? Commercial jet air pollution, anyone? They do mention the microplastics and synthetics there. Prescribing patterns and impact on mental health, SSRIs, antidepressants, antipsychotics. They do talk about the serotonin reuptake inhibitors there, the SSRIs, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, stimulants. I would throw in the hormone blockers as well for the transgenders. That one is particularly disturbing. It's the same drug they give to sex offenders to chemically castrate them. They give it to the youth who are confused about their gender. Extremely disturbing. Food for health, nutrition, repurposed drugs, precision agricultural technology, oral health and systemic disease connection, gut microbiome research initiative. I do believe this is a key right here. Will we get the truth out of it? No, but this is the key right here. Longitudinal research for chronic disease prevention, longitudinal pediatric health insights, clinical trial networks, electromagnetic radiation. That's another big one that we don't talk about enough. 4G, 5G, 6G. We're swimming in Wi-Fi, smart meters on your home, and on it goes with electromagnetic radiation pollution, microwave pollution, mental health and addiction research, rural tribal health, artificial intelligence, and here it is, your technocracy. HHS will prioritize research into the appropriate integration of AI to assist in earlier diagnosis, personalized treatment plans, real-time monitoring, and predictive interventions that prevent hospitalizations, reduce costs, and reduce the economic burden of chronic disease. Improving pediatric and young adult cancer will be the initial focus area. This is horrifying. HHS will include a specific focus on research that harnesses AI to uncover causes, identify risk early, and take action in childhood and young adulthood to prevent cancer. HHS, run from the cure, right? What's causing it? AI is going to help us prevent it. Is AI going to tell us the cause? Run from the cure, man. HHS, NIH, and the Office of Science and Technology Policy will develop an evidence-based and AI-driven approach to harness the data and technology available to transform research and clinical trials on pediatric cancer. This can be a model for future research in other critical areas. This is your technocracy right here. realigning incentives and systems to drive health outcomes research to drive innovation. Policy reforms, I think we covered that. Dietary guidelines, food dyes, post-market review of chemical additives in food, ultra-processed foods, nutrition labeling, grass reform. FDA will update regulations to reform the GRAS grass designation within the scope of statutory authority by closing the grass loophole, implementing the mandatory grass notification program, and increasing consumer transparency with respect to substances found in our nation's food supply. Food allergies, I would argue many are caused by the miracles, but what the hell do I know? FDA will develop guidance on diagnostics and treatments for food allergies. Peanuts, anyone? Celiac disease, they say here, such as gluten for those with celiac disease. Glyphosate destroying your gut microbiome, anyone? Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Infant formula should be definitely GMO, high fructose corn syrup, and throw in some fluoride drops. That's the current, what they tell you for your infant baby formula here in America. Breastfeeding, I know that's a conspiracy theory, but yeah, women have those mommy milkers for a reason. Breastfeed your babies if you can, please. Women out there, improving quality of food serviced to veterans. Yeah, don't feed our soldiers like they're prisoners in a Palestinian prison in Aardvark land. Healthy food in hospitals, that's a big one too, right? God forbid that you're trying to recover from whatever in a hospital and they give you a piece of cardboard to eat and give you some fluoride and some high fructose corn syrup and some GMOs and say how wonderful it all is. They don't mention GMOs in here, though, you notice. And that's a big one that's really flying under the radar, if you ask me. Direct-to-consumer pharma advertising. I think this could be a big one, too, maybe. Let's see how it sorts out. But what's your lying Mockingbird Media going to do if big pharma advertising is cut way back? I don't know. Stage a bunch more false flags, probably. Guidelines to limit the direct marketing to certain foods to children. Eliminating conflicts of interest. How is this even a thing? How are these people able to get away with this for so long, where they have a clear conflict of interest? Agency foundation capture. It's way worse than that. I know that's Bobby Kennedy's line. Well, it's industry capture. Yeah, it's way worse than that. Address excessive open access payments to scientific journals, gold standard scientific research, medical school curriculum and accreditation, updates, water quality, fluoride, PFASs, yeah, the forever chemicals. Miracle framework. The White House Domestic Policy Council and HHS will develop a framework focused on ensuring America has the best childhood miracle schedule, addressing miracle injuries, modernizing American miracles with transparent gold standard science, correcting conflicts of interest and misaligned incentives, and ensuring scientific and medical freedom. I'll believe it when I see it. USDA nutritional programs. USDA will use its authorities to prioritize utilization and promote of whole healthy foods across its 16 nutrition programs. If you're waiting around for the government to tell you what to eat, you're already in real bad shape. The SNAP program, they're cutting back the junk food there. MAHA boxes. USDA will develop options to get whole healthy food to SNAP participants. Expanded food nutrition educational program, Head Start nutrition, early childhood nutrition, fitness, early childhood physical activity, sunscreen. FDA will promote innovative innovation in the sunscreen market and improve regulatory processes for over-the-counter sunscreen. Yeah, it's always coming out that it's poison. Who cares? Medicaid quality, Medicaid care delivery, Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP, quality measurement, price transparency, direct primary care, agricultural deregulations, streamline organic certification process and reduce costs for small farms transitioning to organic practices. I don't know, man. I don't know. The regulations now on organic are pretty sketchy, honestly. And so they're even further deregulating here. It raises concerns. Eliminate unnecessary bureaucratic barriers for community-supported agriculture programs and direct-to-consumer sales. That sounds good. Reduce regulatory compliance burdens for small farms by doing the following: streamline and digitize USDA application process, generate reliable access to credit, improve land acquisition and permitting processes, promote transition to the next generation of farmers, provide greater access to markets and infrastructure, enhance risk management and business planning tools, and enhance and promote educational series, food deregulation, improve the farm to school grants application process to better connect local producers to schools. All that sounds good. Food deregulation, HHS, FDA, USDA will take the following actions: remove restrictions on whole milk cells in school, eliminate mandatory reduced fat requirements in federal nutrition programs, remove barriers preventing small dairy operations from processing and selling their own milk products locally, eliminate zoning restrictions that prevent mobile grocery units from serving food deserts, fast track permits for grocery stores in underserved areas, work with grocers on sustainable initiative program to provide fresh, frozen, canned, and dried fruits and vegetables, provide additional guidance on hazard analysis critical control points, requiring for very small meat processors serving local markets to ease compliance while maintaining safety standards, provide additional support for mobile processing units serving multiple small farms, provide support for healthcare providers for discussing nutrition lifestyles. Let's see here. None of these are particularly too exciting. Cutting regulation, essentially drug and device approval improvements is getting back to being pretty bad. The drug and device stuff, streamlining it. So maybe we need to pump the brakes and just reform the approval processes a little bit better. EPA process improvements, as we heard about there, their PR sounds like it's written by Bayer and Monsanto, as we heard from Pamela earlier in the broadcast with one of her comments. And it wouldn't surprise me one little bit. Government data for research, there you go, technocracy. They're tracking, tracing everything now because for further experiments for public health, of course. Increasing public awareness and knowledge, school campaigns using data tools focused on children, President's Task Force on Environmental Health Risks, Safety Risks to Children, EPA's Children's Health Protection Advisory Committee, Food for Health, what's this, DGAs, Food for Health, Real Food First, Healthy Foods and Healthy Families, fluoride. Following the completion of studies on fluoride, CDC, USDA will educate Americans on the appropriate levels of fluoride, clarify the role of EPA in drinking water standards for fluoride under the Safe Drinking Water Act, and increase awareness of the ability to obtain fluoride topically through toothpaste. It says right in the back of your fluoride toothpaste, swallow swallow this call poison control. I don't know. I guess it's healthy for you, right? Pesticides, EPA's partnering. This is a big one right here. EPA's partnering with food and agricultural stakeholders will work to ensure that the public has awareness and confidence in EPA's pesticide robust review procedures and how that relates to the limiting of risk for users and general public, and informs continual improvement. And the PR reads like propaganda from Monsanto, according to the aforementioned comment there by Pamela. And I haven't went and seen it, but I would have to agree, just in general there, that is probably the case. Screen time, that is another thing. I do find myself with the screen time, is I do wear those glasses sometimes, those, what is it, red light blockers or whatever. And I do feel like it helps sometimes, especially with accounting work that I do. If I'm staring at these spreadsheets for hours on end, trying to do like big calculations on some big old spreadsheets, I do believe that those red light blockers help with that. Pediatric mental health, alcohol, controlled substances, vaping, THC impact, illegal vapes, 7 hydroamidate, I can't even say it, H7, what is that, Crompton? I think that's it. They made a big thing about that, right? 7-OH, Crompton, right? Synthetic Crompton. Apparently that's a thing. What do they call it? Gas station heroin, something like that. Oxycodone, of course. And no one at, J&J, Purdue Pharma gets in trouble whatsoever. Hey, they didn't know it was addictive. The doctor said, right? Who knew opium was addictive? I know, shocking, right? Community overdose response training for schools and libraries. That's just a sad public commentary that we even have to go there, but we do. Medical evidence, NIH will create public-facing clinical transparency reviews to help patients and healthcare professionals make evidence-based treatment decisions. Sure. Fostering private sector collaboration. Community level transformations, whole healthy foods, eating healthy at restaurants. Nothing here on the monopoly, as we cover here, of the food industry, right? How about breaking up some of these monopolies? Cargill, we went over the big four in the meat packing industry last week. It's all vertically integrated into monopoly style markets. And you have to point your finger at the big dogs controlling the supply chains. What the hell are you putting in our food supply here now? No one gets in trouble from any. It's clear. It's a eugenics depopulation program. It should be clear to anyone that's not brain damaged from it too bad to be able to put 2 and 2 together to figure out what's all. It was just a mistake. No, it's all intentional. I'm sorry to report to you here now. Eating healthy at restaurants, that is very hard to do. So limit eating out at restaurants, especially with the prices nowadays. Fertility, this is a big problem now, right? HHS will launch a MAHA educational campaign to improve health and fertility in women and men looking to start a family. This will influence adolescent health through early adoption of lifestyles that help avoid the development of root cause issues that impact adult fertility in the 20s, 30s, 40s. Incentives include, they go through all this stuff, they're going to tell you about it. Miracles are a big one there. Soil health and stewardship of the land, that's a big one. That's a big one. Regenerative farming, empowering farmers and keeping solutions voluntary by expanding programs like these different federal programs, providing producers with information about programs and practices that improve pollinator management. Well, get rid of your glyphosate and other pesticides right there. It's killing the bugs, the pollinators. Strengthening food security and production through the prioritization of the acres of shovel-ready conservation projects already planned by farmers. Again, I'm noticing no mention of genetically modified organisms at all in here, and that's a major miss by MAHA. A major miss. Precision agriculture, and that's it. So this will be posted at Weaponized News Substack, and you can go read further details. I think we covered the most of it there for you. Make Our Children Healthy Again report, released by HHS and Bobby Kennedy Jr. We have a few more reports on public health, and then we'll take our commercial break. Here is Lee Zeldin, the EPA secretary. He is talking about tackling the threat of banned pesticides from China, rejecting potentially dangerous herbicide applications, and more. Well, this is like a 4.5 minute video. I think we'll just skip it. But hey, we got Bayer, Monsanto right here at home. So China's sketchy. So are our own agrochemical companies. Make no mistake about that. Scientists warn against plans to artificially cool polar regions. I don't know what could go wrong here. A report out of Bloomberg. Let's take a look at that. There's constantly meddling, man. You know what I mean? What could go wrong? I don't know. This is another geoengineering project. Proposals to artificially cool the world's polar regions to stem the impact of global warming are both expensive, unfeasible, and potentially dangerous, according to new scientific research. You don't say. The Arctic and Antarctic are warming faster than the rest of the world, which has led some think tanks and entrepreneurs to propose large-scale technological interventions. Both those ideas, including spraying reflective particles high into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight, erecting sea curtains, quote, curtains, to block warm water from melting glaciers, and seeding oceans with nutrients to boost the growth of carbon absorbing algae, aren't workable and could inversely damage polar regions, according to a new paper released today by the Journal of Frontiers in Science. Some of these ideas have been given a disproportionately high amount of visibility compared with their maturity and their feasibility. Somebody's talking some kind of halfway common sense. A group of more than 36 scientists used a set of 6 criteria to evaluate some of the most well-publicized ideas to cool polar regions, which also include scattering glass beads to reflect sunlight, spraying seawater to thicken sea ice, and drilling into glaciers to remove subsurface water to slow their slide into the ocean. They found the scale, technological requirements, and costs were far beyond the current capabilities. And what the hell? Just let the mad scientists run wild, geoengineer everything, and let's not mention the ongoing experiments right now could have some potential impact on the melting Arctic regions of this planet. And let's ignore that part of the equation. Anything else in this article? But it is good to see that they're saying, hey, this stuff sounds pretty crazy and could have impacts that we don't know about. Going around there trying to prop up the Arctic regions with your science. World's first telepathy device lets people communicate without speaking. More technocracy here now. Revolutionary breakthrough could allow for smartphone-free Google searches. You just need to take the old Oh man, it wasn't behind a paywall, and they paywalled it up. That's all I got. We'll have to come back to this one, break through the paywall wall and come back to this one, because I did find it rather interesting. Report out of UK Telegraph, but it's behind the paywall, as you can see. So we may come back to that. Some good comments here. Let me go back to the comments briefly on all this public health stuff. Just PR solutions, Sam. No real solutions are allowed, Denver says. Well, it's coming from Monsanto. You don't trust them? I mean, come on, dude. Everything is cooked now in seed oil. Restaurants are guilty as well. Well, that's true. You got to take. There is this push for, as small as it may be, for getting rid of the seed oils, but you have to consider that when eating at a restaurant, right? They just want to monetize your data and assets. They wouldn't do that. It's for public health, Denver. They also want to experiment. They also want us as experimental animals. Well, we can't experiment on animals. PETA said that would be animal abuse. So nobody's supporting not experimenting on humans. So they're the obvious next best choice. There's a difference in seed oils too, and they use mostly the worst, and well, they use the cheapest. Restaurants are in quote capitalism. They're trying to maximize their profit margin, so they're going to use the least expensive ingredients, right? That's like basic economics, and so probably not very healthy for you as well. There, for them to say they care about pollinators as Daiquat rolls out, yeah, it's beyond the pale of absurdity here now. And again, they didn't mention GMOs at all that I saw in there. Climate meddlers. Yeah, they are climate meddlers. They're saving us from climate change, man. We need to cool the polar regions because they are heating faster than everywhere else. They generally don't admit that. They did in that study. Let's see here now. Time magazine, another ice age. Yeah. Remember the Leonard Nimoy clip talking about the coming ice age from the 70s? That's went around the interwebs quite a bit. All right, friends, let's take the live commercial break. Again, thank you to everybody who has supported Weaponized News and continues to support us, all our subscribers and orders. I'm trying the best I can to keep everything flowing here at Weaponized News. Go to weaponizednews.com, get yourself a holograph sticker, a white background sticker, and a clear background sticker. We have all these in stock. Weaponizednews.com. There, as we're bringing you independent reporting and analysis like no one else on the interwebs, questioning your Lord and Savior government at every turn, as every good citizen and journalist should. With their long history of dishonesty, death, and destruction in the wake of said government that cares about your health and safety, we should all be very critical about everything they have to tell us here now. But many just want to trust the plan. And I'm telling you, it's up to us to do our own research and not trust anybody's plan, or especially riddles on the interwebs from anonymous sources that sound good in a red meat, but burned out real quick when they didn't come to fruition. All psyops against you, me, and the rest of the world. Restaurants have been squeezed from all sides, so naturally many have subsidized for inferior ingredients. Yeah, they shut down the damn supply chain. Remember that? They shut down many small restaurants for the bats. If they didn't have bat soup on the menu, they got shut down, deemed non-essential. Remember all that? I remember it. Put bat soup on your menu, and that's healthy for America, I guess. Let's take a listen from our sponsor, Abu Zaba Enterprises, and we'll be right back for the second half of Weaponized News.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abu Zaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250 for stress-free solutions.
And welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Thursday, September 9th, 2025 edition. Thank you for joining us. Continuing here, we have, I think tomorrow I'll do the follow-up here. I did get some reports from Simon today. Shout out to Simon on the interwebs. More on the Chinese Global Governance Initiative that I covered last Thursday. I read the whole policy paper from the Chinese government. I think we'll cover a little bit more of that. We had some more details, and then this report that Simon has dug into about UK, Big Brother, and them putting out an army, 20,000 plus, I believe, of info warriors on the interwebs for our own safety. We'll get to those details hopefully tomorrow coming out of the UK. Macron appoints Sebastian Lecornu. It's France, right? So Sebastian Lecornu, I think is how you pronounce it. This guy is the new Prime Minister of France. If we can get it to load. There he is. There he is. As the French government collapsed yesterday, but even worse collapse here. And there's reports also I saw, and it's hard to believe, honestly. Maybe it is real jihadists, but they're saying jihadists are and they have burned down a lot of Catholic church and I believe other churches there in France, but allegedly they put out this terrorist video of jihadists in France threatening to burn down Notre Dame once again. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows if it's real? It's probably intelligence agencies. Let's just go with that because that seems to be the common theme. On to Nepal here. Nepal is, there's massive protests and violence have broken out in Nepal. Initial reports said it was due to the youth having their social media interwebs banned. But something tells me there's something else going on there as well. But here's some of the government buildings. This is the government administrative building there in Nepal, set ablaze. Set ablaze. And there's more civil unrest. Protesters set fire to Nepal's federal parliament building. Here is images of their parliament on fire there in Nepal. We have more videos here. Nepal protesters in Nepal continue burning down government buildings. There's some video of it. They're pretty pissed off in Nepal. They're over government corruption. We're going to have this issue again. And they don't want us to play the old government building in Nepal burning down there. Let's see, back to it. There's a very interesting video of attacks on the, come on, man. Here we go. So you can see government buildings in Nepal being burned down. This was an interesting one. Protesters burned Nepal energy minister's house. It's being reported that they're going to government officials' houses and grabbing them and beating them and shaming them. And just saying, man. But this is interesting because cash rains down. And so this is strange. Banknotes rained down on protesters, set Nepal minister's house on fire. Let's watch this if we can get this to play. Very interesting. Continuing here with, and what is the result of this? Violent protests in Nepal led to 2 major jailbreaks. 773 inmates escaped in one prison, and then 127 in another, with reports of more unconfirmed incidences. Here is the Kathmandu, right? Yeah. After a second day of anti-corruption protests, here's the government buildings on fire. Kathmandu, right? So we're going to have to track this and see what the official story is. Something tells me it's more than just interweb bans. Here is Maduro out of Venezuela, as American warships are right off his coast. He says, Maduro says the U.S. buildup in the Caribbean is aimed at Venezuela's oil, gas, and gold reserves, which are amongst the biggest in the world. That's what he says. The U.S. is creating, quote, Hollywood stories about narco trafficking to portray him as a villain and justify intervention. Let's watch this clip from Maduro.
Al frente 8 barcos de guerra destructores en el Caribe. Nunca se había visto eso. 1.200 misiles apuntando a nuestras cabezas. Tienen un submarino nuclear. Y ahora dice que tienen a Puerto Rico. Que en Puerto Rico llegó el jefe del Pentágono. Y la gobernadora de Puerto Rico dijo que Puerto Rico era la base para una operación militar contra Venezuela. Buscan muchas cosas. Primero buscan el petróleo. No el narcotráfico. Es el petróleo. Venezuela tiene la principal reserva de petróleo del mundo. Tiene la 4ª reserva de gas, que está en todo el Caribe, precisamente donde esta gente mandó la flota. Y Venezuela tiene lo que pudiera ser la primera reserva de oro del mundo, y así por el estilo. Así que el imperio estadounidense se está jugando una carta peligrosa para nuestra región, pero peligrosa para ellos también. Y además es una carta extremista. No pueden decir de Maduro que tiene armas de destrucción masiva. Entonces sacan los relatos que han sacado hollywoodenses, donde Maduro es el malo de la película y los buenos son ellos. Y entonces van a mandar a su ejército. Buscan por la vía de la intimidación militar sacar la cara por la ultraderecha, por la extrema derecha, por los intereses imperiales, porque internamente los hemos derrotado en todos los planos.
I don't know, man. Is U.S. staging for an invasion of Venezuela in Puerto Rico, as old Maduro there said? I don't know. Is it about the oil and not the drugs? We reported massive oil and natural gas discovered right there off of the coast of Venezuela, of Guyana. And so it's sitting there. And that's a major incentive for the Anglo-American establishment to go ahead and take that land. But what the hell? It's Trump's war on drugs. Oh man, on to Aardvark land here. And this is the Clash report infographic, and I think it illustrates it very well. Countries, Aardvark land is bombed since the worst attack in the history of the world, October 7th. Much evidence points to the fact that a lot of we know for a fact they stood down. They implemented the Hannibal Doctrine, and many reports on the interwebs point to the fact that the terror attack video webcam wearers were fake computer-generated graphic images. So we have all that to think about. The worst attack in the history of the world, October 7th, 2023. And so you can see right here, aardvarks have bombed the hell out of this place, right? Gaza, bombed the hell out of this. Lebanon, bombed the hell out of them. Bombed the hell out of Syria, bombed the hell out of Iraq, Iran, Qatar, today, and Yemen. And who the hell is this? Somebody over here. I don't even know who that is. I need to check my map. And so all to get the Hamas, totally legitimate as far as I'm concerned. Aardvark land attacks Hamas leaders in Qatar. White House calls it unfortunate. It's an unfortunate bombing there. Breaking international law. Who cares? You know what I mean? They're the aardvarks. They're the good guys. Don't be a Hamas. Don't be a pro-Hamas supporter. And so initial reports said that the White House, Trump had signed off on this attack. Trump and the White House now vehemently deny it. Remember Qatar, a couple months back, gave Trump that $500 million jumbo jet? But it was just a gift for the U.S. government for, strengthen relations. Aardvark land strikes Hamas leadership in Qatar, allegedly, so they tell us, which had been mediating a ceasefire in Gaza. So it's the same story. We're doing the reruns. Every time they go to negotiate a ceasefire, they whack all the negotiators and say, well, see what happened? We couldn't negotiate a ceasefire. We got to continue leveling the place. How many times? This happened 2, 3, 4 times. I lost track. They're like, we want a ceasefire and get the hostages out. And then here comes Hamas. Okay, what kind of deal can we make? And they whack them and they're like, see, couldn't make a deal with them. We got to continue the genocide. This happened multiple times here now. Let's hear the report out of the Hamas channel, Al Jazeera English. According to Aardvarks, the Hamas channel.
News that's coming out from here, from the Qatari capital, where the Israeli military has confirmed that it's carried out a targeted assassination on Hamas. We heard loud explosions that were heard across Doha. Much of it was plumes of smoke. But let's speak to our correspondent, Nida Ibrahim, joining us live on set. Nida, you've been following this story that's unfolding as we speak. What do we know so far?
We've heard loud explosions here in Doha. Everyone was asking and wondering what has happened. Let's not forget that it comes just hours after the Israeli officials have been already threatening to assassinate Hamas members. What we've been hearing just in the past few seconds is a statement by the Israeli army and the Israeli security agency, the Shin Bet, saying that through the Air Force, they recently carried out a targeted strike against members of Hamas. They say that these leaders have been instrumental, and I'm quoting the statement, in the organization's activities and are directly responsible for the October 7 attacks. Now, they are saying in the same statement that prior to the strike, measures were taken to minimize harm to civilians. And Sarah, we don't know how many have been killed. We don't know the number of casualties there in Doha. We're still waiting for more and more updates. But the statement...
See, they took measures to minimize civilian casualties there. Here's the White House about it. Again, initial reports said that Trump and the White House had signed off on this, and Trump says not so fast.
all of you with respect to the Israeli strike in Doha, and here it is. This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack.
We feel very badly about it, and they said they warned them like 10 minutes too late after the attack.
President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released, and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly. President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. He assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their side.
Yeah, see, Denver's saying here, I remember reporting on it. It says August 18th, Hamas source says group agrees to latest Gaza ceasefire proposal. BBC reported. Sure. They agreed to it many times. But yeah. Here's our shadow president, Bibi, talking about it. Putting the talk of Trump's involvement to rest here. He says, Aardvark Land acted independently, takes full responsibility. And he's been globally condemned for this treachery. They don't care. They're bloodthirsty maniacs.
On this day, as in previous days, Israel acted wholly independently, and we take full responsibility for this action. And this action can open the door to an end of the war in Gaza. Israel has accepted the proposal put forward by President Trump to end the war, beginning with the immediate release of all our hostages, which have been held in the dungeons of Gaza for 700 days. If President Trump's proposal is accepted, the war can end immediately. On this day.
And the Hannibal Doctrine is live and well, too. They always say that under their breath. We got a couple videos, not very good, far away. This one's a little bit, it's not much. It's just like a building and you see some smoke. They whacked them. Aardvark Army statement, they say the IDF and ISA conducted a precision strike targeting the senior leadership of the Hamas terrorist organization created by Aardvarks and America and UK intelligence. That's perfectly fine, though. Qatari foreign ministry, they say the state of Qatar strongly condemns the cowardly Aardvark attack that targeted residential buildings, housing several members of the political bureau of Hamas in the Qatari capital, Doha. This criminal assault constitutes a blatant violation of all international laws and norms and poses a serious threat to the security and safety of Qataris and residents in Qatar. The ministry affirms that the security forces, civil defense, and relevant authorities immediately begin addressing the incident and taking necessary measures to contain its repercussions and ensure the safety of the residents and surrounding areas, while the state of Qatar strongly condemns this assault. It confirms that it will not tolerate this reckless aardvark behavior and the ongoing disruption of regional security, nor any act that targets its security and sovereignty. Investigations are underway at the highest levels, and further details will be announced as soon as they are available. I think I saw one of these Qatar dudes already saying they want to whack them back. So is that going to escalate? Here's the alleged Hamas dudes that they whacked today. How many of them? Hamas, what was it, 5 or 6 of them? 5 of them, I think. Here they are. There they are, trying to negotiate a ceasefire, and this is what happens. Hezbollah to the north, up there in Lebanon, says that we condemn the violation of Qatar's sovereignty, and this cowardly crime proves the malice and baselessness of the Zionist entity. Yemen condemned it, and it was all the usual suspects in the region, which you would expect, have condemned it. Turkey condemned it. Trump said, I have directed Secretary of State Marco Rubio to finalize the defense cooperation agreement with Qatar. So more of the show, though. Remember the reporting, Trump and Bibi are on the outs. Really? That was all fake. And so, but this is, I mean, what would America do if we have a defense cooperation agreement with Qatar and aardvarks whack them again to get negotiations going? You know what I mean? They'll do nothing. Here's Keir Starmer, Big Brother. Yesterday said there was no genocide going in there in Gaza, so they continue the weapons shipments and war profiteering there. But today, old Keir Starmer says, I condemn aardvark strikes on Doha, which violate Qatar's sovereignty and risk further escalation across the region. The priority must be an immediate ceasefire. You missed the point. How do you negotiate a ceasefire when you whack the negotiators? The release of hostages and huge surge in aid. In the Gaza, this is the only solution toward long-lasting peace. Seriously, dude. Seriously, Starmer. Erdogan, Turkey's president, tries to put on a good front, but he loves aardvarks too. Aardvark lands attacks today on Hamas. Negotiation delegation in Qatar has once again clearly demonstrated the blind rage of Netanyahu government and its intent to deepen the conflict and instability. This attack, which constitutes a flagrant violation of international law and Qatar's sovereignty, has also targeted the security and peace of our brotherly country, Qatar. I condemn this attack. Turkey stands by its Palestinian brothers and its ally, strategic partner, and friend, the state of Qatar, with all its capabilities. Those who make terrorism a state policy will never achieve their goals. We will maintain our resolute and determined stance against aardvark lands banditry, which aims to drag the entire region along with itself into disaster. We will continue to defend peace, international law, and the freedom of the Palestinian people at all costs. Really? I don't see any Turkish troops there. Erdogan. Aardvark Land Radio this morning reported that another suicide. There's been quite a few suicides there. This poor soldier, Aardvark, 31-year-old soldier, was found dead in his apartment with gunshot wounds. The Magdan David Adon teams that were called to the scene declared his death immediately. An investigation is underway into the circumstances of the incident. There is no criminal suspicion, but rather suicide. It's starting to take its toll there. It is starting to take its toll. Oh, Bernie Sanders has chimed in as well. He says Netanyahu's extremist government is completely out of control. Not only are they starving children in Gaza, they are now breaking international law, dropping bombs on Qatar, a U.S. security partner. When is enough enough? No more U.S. military aid to Aardvark land. Well, Bernie Sanders needs to be sanctioned, obviously. You know, sanction Bernie Sanders, Erdogan, Keir Starmer. The list goes on. There's a giant list of those that need to be sanctioned by America. Spain bans entry of extremist Aardvark ministers Ben Gvir and Smotrich. And old Ben Gvir said, you don't have to let me in, but take in the Palestinians so we could bomb Spain next and call you Hamas. Again. Aardvarks are losing the propaganda information war here now as we continue to report many boycotts around the world, many people calling them out. Over 1,800 prominent film figures launched boycott of Aardvark land film industry. And so it's growing here. Over 1,800 internationally known actors, directors, and film professionals pledged yesterday to boycott Aardvark film institutions that are implicated in genocide and apartheid against the Palestinian people. They're all Hamas too and need to be sanctioned as well. And so a bunch of these Hollywood people. So a broken clock is right twice a day. Isn't that how the saying goes? So I have to agree with them. I don't agree with them on much else out there politically speaking, but on this issue, I would have to agree with these 1,800 plus Hollywood whoop-de-whoops. And so continuing pressure, but apparently they don't care. The genocide continues in the last 24 hours. 89 Palestinians have been killed, 14 of them attempting to get aid there as we continue to report. And all of that news, the attack on Qatar has covered up the news on Gaza City, which there's something like an estimated 1 million Palestinians there. Get out of here. Aardvark land warns Gaza City to evacuate. What are they going to do with these poor people, man? They're going to flatten the whole place. As reported yesterday, over 50 buildings in the last couple of days have been flattened there in Gaza City. They're literally going to turn the whole place into rubble. It don't matter. They'll whack their own hostages, Hannibal doctrine. They'll whack negotiators, Qatar, on and on it goes. United States' largest military base in the region is in Qatar, coincidentally enough there. We should already have some type of security agreement, you would think. I haven't researched into it deep enough, but man, oh man. Maybe they'll do another U.S. Liberty and call us Hamas next. You know what I mean? They're crazy, which is evidenced by genocide. I mean, who the hell does this? Who acts like this but crazy people, bloodthirsty, religious fanatics, literally insane people? Your Aardvark government. And so, home to roughly 1 million residents there before the war. And Gaza City still has hundreds of thousands of residents who are enduring famine conditions and fearful of displacement, i.e. ethnic cleansing, to other parts of an enclave where nowhere has been proven safe. Yeah, because you're Hamas. They're going to whack you wherever you go, Palestinians. I think that's been made abundantly clear here now, hasn't it? Here's propaganda leaflets telling them leave. Where are they going to go? I don't know. Leave now or die. You know what I mean? Evacuate immediately. To where? To where? Where are they going to evacuate? Go to the sea, I guess. Go jump in the ocean. Learn how to swim, I guess. Where are they supposed to go? And so, yeah, the genocide continues there. Quite horrific indeed. The latest escalation, an attack on Qatar. Of course, they're all Hamas, so what the hell? Qatar says they're going to whack them back. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this all sorts out. And then to wrap up today's show, we're going to go with this clip of U.S. activist group plays soccer with Bibi's mock decapitated head right outside UN headquarters there in New York. Let's watch this clip to play us out, and then we'll go to the channels and see some comments. Of course, there's the UN in New York, donated by the Rockefellers. I think we need to mute the music. Sorry, they'll copyright flag me. So I guess we'll just have to give you our commentary. Of course, Hamas soccer players there in New York. We love the police state, and they have a mock head of our shadow president, Bibi. Wow. They should all be droned and sanctioned as well. So there you go. On this Thursday, things are escalating even more in West Asia. Let's go to the channels now. Shout out to Barry. Barry, I don't know, shall we play? I guess we should play this at the end. Barry Denton harassed at vacant public school in Oshawa by staff for exercising. I'll just show you the video. I'll put the link. Barry Dutton, listener of the show, hype man in the chats. We wish you well out there, Barry. But to give you he was over here at the Oshawa school exercising, and there was no children around, and they came out and harassed him essentially to leave. So I'll post a link for those interested in this video. It's also on Barry Dutton Odysee channel. Shout out to Barry. Over to the let's go to the Odysee Weaponized News channel and see if there's any chats going on there, comments and the like. Looks like we didn't have any chat over there. We miss you guys. Gurr, Highland, John. They must be busy today. No chat on the Odysee, but shout out to everybody watching on the Odysee and watches the replay. Thank you very much. Over to the Bitchute. Still some videos hung up. They loaded some, but shout out to live Bitchute audience, Facebook. Shout out to you. Everybody watching on Rumble. We've had some good comments on the Rumble today. Shout out to Denver, Pamela. Who else? Chloe, I believe, was there. We had Silver. A few others. Apologies if I missed you, but thank you guys for chatting it up there. Always great, informative comments in the Weaponized News Rumble chat section. A lot of links. Very good stuff, you guys. Thank you very much. Everybody should go check out the Rumble Weaponized News chat for the live show. Very informative, adding context to the reporting here. Appreciate it, you guys. He says Steve had a good interpretation of the IDF acronym. IDF equals Aardvark Diaper Force, because they S their pants when they have to fight and can't leverage someone to do it for them or just bomb. Well, Hamas uses human shields, and Aardvarks never would do such a thing, even though there's video and many reports of them literally strapping freaking Palestinians to the hood of their Jeeps like a deer or something. Just horrific, just beyond the pale torture, human rights abuses. Yeah, They always love to talk about the Holocaust. Well, if the reports are accurate, and that's up for debate, but let's just say, and the Nazis were bad, right? I mean, I don't think there are people arguing now Hitler was a good guy on the interwebs. I don't think that's the case, but as horrible as World War II is, they're reenacting it today with every horror imaginable there in Gaza on the Palestinians. It's just, what do you even say? They have no moral high ground, and they're losing the information war around the world. It's taken long enough here now. I don't know how they come back from it. Passed laws, I guess, against antiseptic behavior, or even pointing out the fact that you're committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and ethnic cleansing programs, and it's wrong. I guess we'll be sanctioned soon for even saying that by the State Department here in America. Little Marco and Trump. It's beyond the pale, man. It really is at this point. The rest of the world sees it as America drives this negative feeling for America and driving India into the arms of China and Russia with a soft power move here for a new world order as we are moving into the new era, as we continue to report here at Weaponized News. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to, let's see, it's almost like the Zionists were the Nazis. Almost, huh? Almost like everything's coming for full circle here now, isn't it? It definitely is. Definitely is. Shout out to YouTube audience. We had a few people comments on there. Young, Dick Moves, a few others. Thank you guys for chiming in there. Shout out to Ruckus on the YouTube as well. Climate meddlers. Well, you don't want the Arctic to melt, so we need to meddle more with insane geoengineering experiments, all in the name of science. And with that, thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. As always, do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. And we'll be back here on Wednesday for more Weaponized News.